Really excited today. Just won another game against the computer in level 12. That's 2100. They resigned. I'm going to accept the resignation there. We're going to break down exactly what happened here. Okay, the opening move, pretty straightforward. Well, not super straightforward. Not a strong move. I just played the pawn to the side. I want to see what they're doing, and I kind of try to start out balanced and then attack the weak spot. I bring my knight forward. They play the knight. So, yeah, probably not the best opening there. What I'm trying to do, though, is look for ways to go after the king. Basically, I'm playing attacking chess. All right, there's move number 4. That's pretty straightforward. They move their pawn forward. In this spot right here, I notice they have a bishop on c8. What I decide to do is play the pawn forward here. The reason I'm doing that is to block them taking their bishop and taking out my knight. I would like to use the knights or get some value out of the knights in this game. So that's what I'm trying to do there. At some point, they're going to, that's a development move. Not a super strong move. But I don't know if I have a better one. Maybe develop a knight there or something like that. I playing as white, obviously. I decided to play the bishop forward here. This is a good spot for me. I can move the bishop back. What I'd like to do is combine that bishop right there with the knight on c3 and maybe get a discovered move, or create a situation where you can make multiple moves, multiple variations. I found those have the best chance of success. They played knight forward. That's not kind of what I want to see. I've got the queen to protect the knight there, but there's a lot of different... Once they get their knight in position, which is what I would like to do, there's a lot of different variations and a lot of different combinations that you may not readily see. So that's something I need to watch out for. I think I end up taking it out later on. They play the pawn forward there. Nothing spectacular. I respond by moving my pawn forward just to secure this. Well, actually, the reason I'm playing this is to develop the bishop potentially on c1. The c1 bishop is just not doing anything. So we need to develop the pieces. We need to develop the rooks. We need to develop a lot of pieces here if we want to have a chance to win. We can't just, it does help to have knights in a game like this where there's no trade-offs yet. You develop a bishop. Okay. I decided to play right here. I decided to take out that knight because of the issues I was talking about earlier. And this, presents some challenges. They captured there. So what I decided to do with my knight now is put it in place right there. So I've got a good knight. But the downside is I basically am not using the bishop. Now, the upside is I could do some stuff with the knight and then coordinate that with the bishop, which is what I'm hoping to do. Potentially attacking the f7 pawn or some stuff in that area potentially. So that's what we're looking to do here. They bring a pawn forward, which doesn't really help a ton. I mean, it does clear out some more space for them, but I'm just going to play the bishop back, keep it in the corner, back to a2 there. So, okay, they play pawn forward. Now I decide to play. This is my big push right here. If you'll notice, I'm pushing the pawn forward. I've got 2 defenders on that piece, so I can develop the bishop and then strengthen my rook-queen combo here. Depending on what they choose to do, they choose to just play the rook forward. That's actually not a bad... Well, I mean, it's computer engine 12, so they're going to be able to outthink me, so I shouldn't say not a bad move, because they're really good at thinking. You have to beat the AI on the top level, you have to look for complicated stuff or stuff where you can overload, because for short tactics, they're going to see it. They're going to be able to calculate it. You need to kind of find a little surprise there where they have to overreact or whatever. That's probably the best way to put it. So that's not a bad move there. Well, actually, no, the move's going to be bad. They're defending that pawn on f7 that I'm looking to attack that I mentioned earlier. So that's a move to bring an extra defender to that. Now they have 2 defenders on that. I decide to play, just take with my pawn. Part of the reason I'm doing this is they've got a pawn structure in the middle that's kind of locked in. I would like to break that apart. So that's my line of thinking there. They capture the pawn. Okay, straightforward there. I decided to develop my bishop. I just play bishop c1 to d2. Nothing big, but what it does is it gives me a number of options. You always want to try to give yourself more options. Kind of be careful, though. You got to look at how many defenders you have and stuff like that, because that can be bad. Well, if you got to pay attention, I guess is the best way to put it. That's an interesting move. I don't really know that it helps a ton. What it does help with is it takes away my ability to knight fork on the c7 square. I don't know if you see the c7 square. What I mean by that is if I was to remove the queen from d8, I could potentially do a knight fork. Now I can't do that anymore. So that kind of frees up their queen, or is an attempt to free up their queen, because that's what I see it as. I decided to play rook forward, and the reason I'm doing that is I would like to just overload a lot of pieces on the f7 square and bring more than they can handle. Remember, I have a bishop on a2. There's a bishop on a2 that could be activated if I move the knight that's on the d5 perch there. So they move the rook. That's kind of good. When they're not making an attacking move on you, you know you've got a strong position. If they're breaking apart your position, then you're in trouble. And this engine will destroy. I've played enough games; they will tear you apart if you get to have a weakness and stuff in your line of attack, or you don't have represent a big threat. They will tear you apart very quickly. And I'm sure some of you can attest to that. So I was debating where to play the queen. I decided to put it in the front. I don't think that's the best move here. I think the queen should be toward the middle or the back. But we'll look at that later. I wanted to bring 3 pieces. They play their pawn forward on the end. That's good. I think they were debating playing the f7 pawn forward to f5. But the engine took a while on that. Yeah, the engine took quite a while on that. Like, it took a minute 3, I believe, on the timing there. So I decided to play the rook forward, or rook to f1. Obviously going to be attacking there at some combination. They decided to play the bishop forward. I don't know that really helps. I looked at that one. I was trying to see. The only thing it does is it takes away, if I were to play the knight somewhere, they could capture the bishop right away. But I thought this went through here. And what I decided to do, after much thinking, I decided to move the queen back. And I wanted to have one of the rooks in the front. And then I would table that decision with a knight and go back to it later. They move the rook forward. Again, trying to attack my pawn position. What I decided to do here, now that I got the 2 rooks in spot, I didn't want my queen in the front, because I didn't want to trade my queen for queen. Now that I get the rooks, I'm willing to sacrifice the rook. I don't want to sacrifice the queen, because there's a lot of stuff I can do with the queen. There's a lot of combinations. I can work queen. I can go queen knight. I can go queen bishop. I can go queen rook. If I lose a queen, I can't do a lot of that. I've also got their king space pretty short, so I want to tighten that up and get it down to mate in a few moves here. So I decided to play knight forward to f6 check right there. Okay. Most likely move, I think, I calculated was them to take with a knight. Okay. So this is where I change it up a little bit, okay? I could capture with the rook, but my bishop on a2 is exposed. The plan I was trying to get to earlier is to take with the bishop right there. So I take with the bishop right there. So I'm threatening a lot of things. I'm threatening potentially a check. There's a lot of different combinations. We could work out this position here. Plus we get 2 rooks backed up, and we have another bishop on d2 that can do some stuff. They play the knight to the side there, which is forcing me to move my queen. I decide to make a strong move. I take queen g3 to g4, and that is where it resigned. You see there's a lot of different stuff that I'm threatening here. I've got a real strong position. Plus I got a bishop that's undeveloped, like I said, on d2. And that's like I said, that's where they resign. They're not going to be able to defend. They don't have enough defenders for the f7 square, obviously. I can bring 3 attackers. They get 2 defenders. I can also bring, like I said, the bishop on d2. And there's a lot of different combinations and ways we can go there. Or I can bring the rooks forward with the queen. There's so much stuff there. So that's where they resign. And pretty cool, pretty excited. Got a win. And if you notice some of the other games I played, I've been attacking the king when they castled to the right or castled to the left. This one they didn't castle. We were able to get all the pieces in place and just attack straight up the middle. So pretty sweet there. Hopefully I was able to show you a tip or two. But yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching and good luck.